what motivated you to begin that? I know they must have asked.
They asked this question, and I said, this was stupid. So we're using somebody without document to head the department of myself.
Oh, you were heading the department?
Yes, I founded it and heading it.
Okay.
Well, as soon as it was registered, permanently recognized as NUC, somebody wrote that. So the office came and said, please, we are not punishing you because you are working. Find a way, go and look for that document. And then keep the salary, but go and go. I like challenge.
You have masters already?
Yes, sir.
So who said that you?
From you.
So that's you?
Christian.
I found you asking.
Hassan. Tell me.
This is what yeah, so I think it's good what you have done, and really all modern people should not give up, should continue living, and if all people are like you, I mean the country will be a better place to live in. What sports do you do?
Sports.
You need to be younger than us. You must be doing some sports. There must be something like this.
I did way down. Big sports, the field events.
Volleyball, hockey.
I like
such things. But in your old age, you don't do sports?
No. I sing.
You sing? You are a good singer. Can you sing?
Yes. I'm a good singer.
Yeah. Let me help you with something. Let's see it here. You consume a bumble. Oh, that's your orgasm, eh?
The weekend affairs here contracted me to do a jingle for them. When they said they found that women, half of Nigeria, almost half, and they said, Nigeria women, go and register and vote. Nigeria women, go and register and vote. We love them. But that's it. That's it. This voice can galvanize and mobilize and sensitize people. Yeah, to go and register to vote. Go and register and vote. My name is Christiana Akbonono. I am from Nkware in Imo State. I was born there. I am told by my father, 29th of December, 1940. And some people would raise their brow because that is not what in the paper with which I served for 33 years in the civil service. Yes, I attended the primary school in my town and then the secondary school in my town. There are two. There used to be three, but the one I attended, it's called St. Catherine's Girls Secondary School in Kware. So I attended that secondary school from 1959 to 1963. Probably you want to know my date of that. I said so already. I said 29th of December, 1940. But I didn't know my mother. I didn't see her. I think less than 2 years she gave birth to me and she died. So life became a struggle all through. After the secondary school, or rather within the secondary school education, something happened. It was my eldest brother. My elder brother, I have only one, same mother, who looked at me the first year, read elementary 6, came out, stayed home for 1 year. He said, sit for entrance. I sat for entrance and passed into this secondary school. And then what happened while I was reading in the secondary school, secondary 1, 2, 3, the third term and that of 3, my brother had a problem, had a fall in life, and couldn't pay for the third term. And so I was in the class one day. The principal, the Oyibos, there were Oyibos who came to that my community, the local community. They came there, many of them, American, Canadian, British, Irish, and so on. My principal then called Miss Wall, came into the class and called my name and said I should follow her. I followed her. She said I hadn't paid my third term. And so sent me asking questions from my people. And so my brother was, as I said, had a fall, was ill. Then it was my father who had to go to the community Anglican church, which he was very serious participant in establishing, and they were able to give that amount of money. They were able to finish paying my secondary school, but then the understanding that I would work and pay back. And so since I saw my father make that promise, it became my own problem. So when I finished in my school certificate, rather than go to nursing school at Ibadan that I passed into, and even WTC at whom I had to become a teacher, I had to look for work to do. That work made me look for anywhere that paid more than the other, and it was the police. So I had to enroll as a cadet police officer, and that was in 1965, 66. I passed out 66 as a sub-inspector. So I did that job until the war came in. But there in that training school, I did well, so very well. Was taking first position. So they pushed me into what they now call SSS. Then it used to be a special branch of the police. And so the war made all Easterners go home. I wasn't an exception. I went home and stayed there until after the war. And after the war, that was about 3 years into the war. After the war, I think Nigerians saw that not too many of the working force of the Igbo people went with the war. Most people returned, and I returned back to Force Headquarters. That's where I was working. Force Headquarters then was in I think Camp Salam house in Lagos, but later transferred to Abuja, here in Abuja. I went back there. After a while, Nigeria was able to take a decision to let go anyone that had a career, anyone that had opportunity of becoming some big person in the police, and they sacked us. Then they sacked me. There were about 146 of us, all young sub-inspectors and inspectors. It was after that I had to dust my school certificate and started looking for a job. I secured one with Radio Nigeria. And the hiring officer then, the director general then, Dr. Christopher Collady, employed me, looked at my school certificate and said, good one, and employed me. And so I became a broadcaster from 1971 to, and then sent to Enugu office. They have, every state has a branch of Radio Nigeria. So I was sent to Enugu then, the Eastern Nigeria. And so I worked there all through as a broadcaster. I started as a producer, young producer. And what is a producer? A content developer. Those who create what goes on air. And so I worked as a broadcaster until I retired in 2004 as a deputy director. The line of how I climbed up to that doctorate degree holder. As I said, I worked and retired as a deputy director of programs. While working, it behooved the Enugu State, ESUT, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, to institute a program for the mature people. And so they had a mature program. And when this came up, I said, that's my opportunity to go to university. All those I was in secondary school with had made it, and some I was better than. And so why don't I also now get into the university and study? And so I registered with that program coming in 1989-90 and read first degree as it pleased our maker. I found it easy combining what I did in the field with the theories. Found it easy. And at the end, when it was time to bring out the results, it was quite intriguing. And I had to make 4.85. And it was the best result, both in the faculty, both in the Department of Mass Communication and the Faculty of Social Sciences. And ESUT management was happy with that program and with the quality of those who took part in it. You will know some of them. This Zebudai Okorigwemobo, Zebi, the one that used to entertain people with some drama. And some other people, lots and lots of them, they were all practitioners of media, mass communication, you will think. So they instituted another program for us to do a master's. And I was comfortable with it, very comfortable. And at the end, I also made 4.12. And I was happy. And as I was rounding off that program, I wrote a book concerning what I practiced in broadcasting. I wrote a book. It was on production, creativity, production, and so on and so forth. And I didn't make noise about that book. I just wrote it for those of them joining broadcasting who did not know their left from their right on what to do. And it happened that the Director General, operating from Lagos, then Abuja, came down to Enugu on a conference. And then I packaged that book and gave to him. It was then Dr. Eddie Iro was the Director General. Packaged it and gave to him. He was a literary person. He was a good person in literary arts. And so he said, "You mean you're here in Enugu writing books, and I'm there in Abuja looking for people to write for me? Oh yeah, you are going on transfer with me." I protested. I said, "I have only 3 years." He said, "It doesn't matter." And so he moved me to Abuja because of that book one. I followed and came on transfer 2000, year 2000. My fellows in that field of learning continued. And so by the time I rounded off 2004 as a deputy director, I've had some of my classmates becoming doctorate degree holders, and I was leading them. So it was at the back of my mind. Any opportunity I would have, I would get into the university and continue this education and finalize a doctorate degree, as they did. But it never came until I retired. And then I retired. It was not possible anymore. Who was going to provide the fund? So I found myself with that master's. I also found myself looking for what to do. And then also found myself at home writing the more. Picked up an angle of that production section of broadcasting. And then decided to find out how many formats. I hope you know what I mean by formats. The programs we put out on air have some shapes. Some are jingles, some are news, some are packaged as magazine, some are documentary, and so on and so forth. So I decided to find out how many formats, how the messages that are put on air, how many there are. So I wrote another book containing how many formats of messages and how to package each one. I finished writing, and it coincided with that Dr. Nero retiring and bringing one of his officers to take over. The man who took over, Barrister Nuhu, was then in charge of Kaduna Radio Nigeria. He took over here in Abuja as the Director General. I had it. I went to the office to greet him. He saw me and said, "Christiana, I'm going to help you. Can you bring a quotation for diesel supply?" I said, "Okay, sir." I went and asked question, and they said, if you want to, don't go into diesel. You must do some muchi. You understand what I mean by muchi? You must do some business that is not straightforward. I said, "No, I will not do that." I went back to him. "Look, I can't do that. But I have a book I've finished writing." He said, "Bring it." I bought this book. I wanted to bring a copy. I gave him this book. He said, "Wonderful. we're taking it over with you. And so that book has FRCN stamp on it. And FRCN helped to foot the bill by 1.7 then and produced that book. I was happy. A professor in my church, the church at Asokoro, St. James Anglican Church, a professor there took that book to Nasarawa, to mass communication department. And the department was excited because they didn't see anybody to teach that course. So they called me and said, come. I went. And they said, where are you from? I said, Igbo State. I said, oh, we can't even employ you. Nasarawa can't employ anybody that is not from this Nasarawa on that level. Can you be coming and teaching this course and sell your books? I was going from here, driving my Sienna to Nasarawa. Every day I had a lecture, and the book was sold 1,000 then. Remember, FRCN had helped me to foot the bill of it, so it reduced the cost I was selling to the students and taught the course, teaching it until my niece called me and said a school had started in Abuja, close to where they lived, and it is Bayes University. Why can't you come and teach there rather than be driving along the road? I tried it and went, and they employed me. The Oyibos were the founding management staff. They employed me as a lecturer there. And so how it happened that I went to read doctorate degree, this is the story.
Yeah.
And so with the little strength remaining in me, if you don't understand the meaning of faith, being a manager programs in a broadcast institution of a big status like that of FRCN. And so utilizing the last strength remaining in me, I helped the school called Bayes University because they said, please help us to found mass communication department. I did, by his grace. And then it had to be registered an EUC coming, which had to use the strength, not theories now, but practical work to get this program registered on permanent basis. As soon as this department of mass communication was recognized by NUC, somebody in-house now wrote to NUC and said, come and see, this Bayes University are not doing the right thing. They are using somebody without doctorate degree to head a department. So my office called me and said, we are sorry. It's not a punishment that you worked hard to get us accredited fully, being the first to be accredited in this school, and only to be told to go leave the office. Please, we want you to get into university and get us doctorate degree. But keep your salary. That is what pushed me into going to read for doctorate degree. I didn't know that they called all others. They gave all others who had only masters and teaching work to do the same. I didn't know. All others told them, we're too old, we can't go do it. But my resilient nature, my determination, my challenge, you have challenged me, it has to be done. That is what made me go into Abuja University and pick up a course, and now read up to the being awarded doctorate degree in theater arts.
Okay.
First degree is mass communication. Second, mass communication. This time around, it is theater arts. All through I was working as a little producer. They had been producing children's program and women's program. So much that I even, towards the end, I even opened up a non-governmental organization belonging to myself, using it to go to talk to women, talk to children, talk to men. So the interest had been children's affairs. Next, women's affairs. Every aspect concerning women. In the process, I understood that if a country or a nation or somewhere wants to develop, then they have to face the women and make them enlightened. So that this program that has been on air, Health Watch, been on air with Radio Nigeria, FRC, and Federal Radio. I started listening to it from Enugu. It was a network program. And I was wondering, women they are broadcasting to, are they really listening? How far are they listening? What impact is this program making on them? And most programs that have kind of development kind oriented, they always go to women concerning their health, concerning their agriculture and their input in it. So the interest is actually, are these women being impacted by these programs? And so when I picked up forms from Abuja University, now called a different name, I picked up this paper and they asked for my first and second results. When I gave them my first results, they were satisfied with 4.85, which ought to be first class. But they didn't give us first class. They said we were mature students reading first degree. So they were happy. The second degree also in mass communication, also, we had 4.12. The department was satisfied and said, you pick up a topic and begin to write. And what else would I pick than what concerns women? Our women were wanting to develop a community, develop a nation through enlightening women. But are they listening? Are they actually impacted by what is given to them? Thinking of that, I wanted to write on a program, Let Them Live, on children. But my supervisor said it had taken so long, I should take a more recent one. And therefore, I looked at Health Watch. And this Health Watch, talks about everything concerning women, concerning the society as regards health. But as a particular one a week out of 4 weeks in a month, that Health Watch dwelt on Fistula. So it's called the Health Watch Fistula Edition. I picked on it, wanting to know whether it has made some impact in women who are the major listeners. So that is my topic. Getting to women to give their input into the research is a major problem. And transportation, of course, well, what is again is challenge is the fact that age is no more on my side. Sometimes they write, I can see what they've written. I write fast. I will write fast, and then I want to read it. I can't even read it anymore. So it's a challenge. Yeah. And so long as it is broadcasting, it is social in nature. To broadcast is to relate. And for you to relate, you just have to go to the level of the person you are relating with. So broadcasting helps you to, the person you're broadcasting to, you become part of that person. So if they are younger, you will have to become younger at heart, and for them to be able to follow. The fact that I'm still broadcasting, rewards me. It calls for happiness. It calls for joy. It calls for good rapport with whoever you are broadcasting to, you are relating with. Such as me chasing a dream at 85 is not a problem as far as I'm concerned. This maker, the grace that gave me the crown of doctorate degree at 85, has a reason, has a purpose, and that purpose has to be fulfilled. I have a determination. I am determined to get to the end of it all. And I don't give up easily. By the way, some of the people they called me with and challenged us to go back to school and get doctorate degree. Maybe showing the line of your question, something else. I have done research. I have told you that age is not on my side, particularly towards a site. So I may not go on researching. I may not go on teaching. Because if I teach, I expect the person I have taught to answer my question and write back to me. I may not be able to read it. I then will employ somebody to read it for me. Rather than that, I may tinkle with what you said, something else. Because I know that the person who approved the personality, the owner of this universe, who has given me this approval to wear this crown at this age, may have his purpose for doing so. And that purpose must be realized. Thank you very much. I encourage any young person, any old person who is challenged in his line of duty to go forward. Go forward. Go on. Nothing is there. The owner or the person who owns you would see you through.